my channel. My name is Laura, and I'm doing my mid-month wrap-up. I just finished putting all the books I read in February in my book, and I read 11 books, and today's only February 17th, so yeah, I still have half the month to go. So I just want to share with you the 11 books that I read in the month of February. So the first book, I already did a review and I had it up on my channel. It is The Lunch Lady, and I gave it, it's a graphic novel, and I gave it 4 stars. So I'm not going to go through it because I have a review on my channel. So the next book that I read, I picked up Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. My husband is a Pisces, so I wanted to learn more about that. He's a water sign, so I picked up this book. I can't really see. It's Jen Jones, I think, is the author. This is what it looks like, and it is a middle grade book, and I gave it 3 stars. So the next book, that book, the middle grade book, it's only 36 pages long, and it's 7 pages for each sign. So Cancer has 7 pages, Scorpio has 7 pages, and Pisces has 7 pages. I don't suggest buying this book. If you can get it from the library, that's great, because it only took me an hour to read, not even an hour, maybe a half hour, just to flip through and read a little bit of it. Okay, the next book I listened to on audio, and this is on my 2016 reading list, and I was a little disappointed in this book. I gave it 2 stars. It's The Gray Mountain by John Grisham, and it looks like this one. And the reason I gave it 2 stars is because it started out really well. I really enjoyed the beginning. I liked meeting Samantha. She is a lawyer, and she loses her job, and she has to go up to the Gray Mountain to do pro bono work. And I really thought it was fun, and she was traveling, and she meets up with a guy who's posing as a police officer, and I thought that was really funny. But right after that, it just went downhill. There was a plot twist after that, and then we meet more characters, and I didn't like the new character that we met up with, and I just don't want to tell you anything about it because then I'll spoil it. But it had a lot of mining talk, which I didn't really like. It was very boring, that part, and yeah, so I only gave it 2 stars. But pat myself on the back, I did finish it and not DNF it, so yes. So, okay, so the next book that I read was a book that the author contacted me, and she said, I see that you have some books in your to read files on Goodreads, and she said, would you mind reading my book? And I was like, okay, I'll stop everything I'm reading and I'll read your book. And I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. The author's name is Bette Lee Crosby, and the book that I read was Cracks in the Sidewalk, and it looks like this one, and it was really, really good. It is based on a true story, even though it is fiction. It takes place in New Jersey, where I live, and the person who is telling the story is the grandparents. The grandmother tells the story, and what happens is I had so many emotions while I reading this book. I had sympathy, I had hatred, I had hope, I had sadness. I even cried during this book. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars, and yeah, it's about the grandmother who's telling the story. There's a tragedy of her daughter, and the husband takes the kids away, and she has to find the kids, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. So, okay, so the next book. Finally, I finished City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I finally finished it. I gave it 3 stars, though, because it took me way too long to finish it. So I gave it 3 stars. It would be a 3.5. I was debating on 3 and 4. I gave it 3.5. So on Goodreads, I put 3 down. I liked it. It was a little slow. It took me a while to get through all the new words. Yeah, so after I read the book, I took out the movie and I watched the movie, and the movie I didn't like. My favorite part of the book they didn't have in the movie, and I was a little upset. And I don't want to spoil it because anybody haven't read it yet. But there's a part with Simon, and it wasn't in the movie. And that's the only thing I really remember about reading the book, is that part about Simon. And it wasn't in the movie, and I was a little upset about that. But I did enjoy it, and I will continue on. Yeah, so that's it. And I own the whole series, so one day I will pick up the second book. Okay, so on my audio in the car, I was listening to, I needed a nonfiction book. I was a little down, and I needed something uplifting. So I picked up Love Your Life by Victoria Osteen. It's called Living Happy, Healthy, and Whole. And it's by Victoria Osteen. I gave it 4 stars. It's this one here. I have it on audio in my car. I had it on disc. So I was listening. It's very inspirational. It's kind of a book where you would pick it up and read it again and again and again, just when you're feeling down. The only thing I gave it 4 stars, the reason why is because she's a little preachy. She talks about Jesus and all that in it. But I did enjoy it. I do follow some of her principles. And yeah, so that's why I really enjoyed it. So let's see, the next book. I started reading The Green Mile for the book club, and I read the first book, which is The Two Dead Girls, and I am listening to it on audio. That's how I'm going a little faster. I'm trying to do each day a book. So I got this one finished, and I gave it 3 stars. It looks like this. It's hard to see, but the picture that I printed out from Goodreads was a tiny one. So I stuck this in my book. I did see the movie. So while I'm reading this book, it's all coming back to me, because I said to my husband, did you ever hear The Green Mile? And he's like, yeah, I took you to that. When we were dating back in the 90s, he took me to the movie theater and we saw that movie. So, I said, I don't really remember it. But now while I'm reading it, I am remembering parts of it. So, it has Tom Hanks in it, and all I remember is the big guy who's the main character in the book. I remember him, and it is starting to come back to me. So, it's a little heartbreaking. It's about 2 twin girls that are murdered, and he murders the dog, and he's on death row. So, so that's, and it's only 100 pages, the first book. So I finished that one. The next book that I read, I got out from the library. It's a new release. It was really, really good. I gave it 5 stars. Salt to the Sea by Ruta Septis. And it looks like this. No, I did not buy it, but I had it hold on the library, and I got it. It's a fictional story based on a true story. True historical fiction. It takes place in 1945 when a cruise ship, the William Gutzloff, I don't know if I said the name right, but it sunk. It's a cruise ship, and it was carrying 10,000 people on it. And 5,000 of those were children. The story itself takes this 4 people, 4 teenagers telling the story, and the chapters are very, very short, which is great, because if you're doing something and you want to go somewhere else, and it's not so long and you don't get lost when you go to the next chapter, because each chapter is somebody else talking. So I really, really enjoyed it. I loved her writing style, and it was a page turner. So yeah, I highly recommend it if it's a YA book and based on historical fiction. So yeah, really good. And I did read her other book, so which I also enjoyed. I read The Big Easy. I think that's what it's called. But I liked her other book as well. So, yeah, definitely want to read anything that she writes. So, the next book I listened to on audio. I gave this one 3 stars. It's an Ellen Hopkins book, so it is written in verse. And the book that I read was Identical. It looks like this. And this book is about twin girls. Sorry, my book's stuck. It's about twin girls that are identical. And this book is very for mature audiences. This has suicide, drugs, alcohol, sexual abuse, incest, cutting, and a bulimia. So there's a lot of topics in this book, but I only gave it 3 stars. I didn't really enjoy it because it was very graphic at certain points. I had to turn the audio off because I just couldn't. So yeah. So that's my review on that book. The next book that I finished, also on audio, was the second book of The Green Mile, and it's called The Mouse on the Mile, and it looks like this one. And again, I gave it 3 stars. They introduce a new character, which is the mouse, and his name is Mr. Jingles, and it was really cute. And he does tricks and stuff in the book. The main reason I gave this, I was hoping for 4 stars for this one, but I gave it 3 stars, is because I'm physically reading the book and listening to it at the same time. And the person who is narrating this book is changing words. So I would be reading and I'm like, wait a minute, where did he get that word from? And I would be, it just frustrates me when they don't read the whole book the correct way that's written in the book. They changed words, and that was frustrating. So I dropped it down to 3 stars. So I'm hoping that the rest of the series is not like that. It's the same person talking throughout. But why would they change the words if you're reading a book? I don't know. Okay, so the last book that I read, and I just finished it today. I started it yesterday. I had a pile of books on my desk, and I was like, okay, I'm going to read one of these because I have so many in my TBR. So I picked the book, The Chosen One. I had no idea what it was about. So I started reading it, and it's by Carol Lynch Williams, and I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. Here you go. That's what it looks like. It is a 200-page book. It's very heartbreaking. It's about a 13-year-old girl who lives in a compound where polygamy is okay. Her family consists of 3 moms, 1 dad, and 19 plus siblings. And she is supposed to marry her 60 plus year old uncle. So this is not a spoiler. This is written on the back of the book. And because I started reading, I was like, what the heck am I reading? You know? So, yeah, on the back of the book, it actually says that. So this book is about child abuse and violence, and it has religion in it. I did enjoy it. Even I kept on reading. It took me 2 days. My friend at work is going to read it now. I'm giving it to her because she's like, what are you reading? I said, I can't put this book down. So yeah, so I gave it to her. And yeah, so I am not for polygamy. I think that's wrong. I don't think it is legal anywhere. I thought it was legal in Utah, but my friend was telling me, no, it's not legal anywhere. So, yeah, so that's the last book that I read. I have a lot I'm reading still. But I just wanted to get this out there because it's otherwise my end of the month is going to be way too long. So 11 books. I can't believe I read 11 books in 10 days. I don't know. No, 17 days. I'm sorry. But I wanted to get this up there. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye!